Meanwhile, the African Christian Democratic Party says parents and governing bodies will now have a say about religious practices at school. This follows a Johannesburg High Court ruling last week that the public schools cannot just promote any one religion. Joining us now in our parliamentary studios is Cheryllyn Dudley, the ACDP's party spokesperson for education. A very good morning to you, ma'am, and welcome.
Good morning to you. Well, good to be here. Thanks.
What is your reaction to the High Court ruling last week?
Well, the ACDP is of the opinion that this was a victory for freedom of religion in that, well, first of all, that the courts confirmed that South Africa is not a secular state, and secondly, they upheld the concept that freedom of religion does give people a right to express that religion in the public sphere. And now, with this court ruling, it confirms that schools are not exempt from that.
Mm-hmm. So you are also in favor of the ruling, but do you feel, though, that Christianity is under attack in South Africa? Because right now you cannot just, as a school, promote Christianity.
Well, Christianity is under attack globally. It has been from the beginning of time. And basically, we understand even in this situation, there was a conflict between the for freedom of religion people and those who are for freedom from religion. And, of course, there is a big difference there. And we can see the battle that is going on. But we have also noticed that the courts in South Africa, we do have a strong constitution that is on the side of freedom of religion. It does protect freedom of religion, and our courts have been very rational in terms of the judgments that they've taken in line with this. These are contentious issues, and the battle does rage outside of that. So when it touches the courts, of course, we've seen people applying the law, applying our constitution, and we have seen freedom of religion protected. In this situation, nobody in South Africa should want to see any minority discriminated against. And we do want to see our schools not discriminating or excluding people. So it is important. So the decision that the court took in terms of schools not being able to brand themselves or position themselves in a way that it excludes other people from being in that school is not entirely negative. And in fact, you can see the logic to some degree. But what we are pleased with is that it in no ways confirmed that religion had no place in schools. Somebody mentioned the 71 interdicts that were called for were denied, and that was really a very important step. And nothing was taken away from school governing bodies who have always had the authority to actually state what their policy was and the rules in terms of religion in schools, and that hasn't been interfered with. So the ACDP is actually welcomes this court decision and the confirmation that we see it bringing in terms of the right of religion to be expressed not just in the private sphere but also in the public sphere, including schools.
But as a party, you indicated and you said that parents and governing bodies will now have a say about religious practices at their school. But how do we go about facilitating that, and how difficult will that be for parents and the governing bodies?
Well, it's always been their prerogative to do that, and the Constitution and the Act upholds that. So, and it has proved to be difficult because it's a learning process. South Africa has come through a lot of changes, and people have had to grapple with those new concepts and new ideas and how to share. You know, we have no future unless it's a shared future. We've had to more purposefully grapple with those issues, and there's some people that are perhaps not as far along the road as others, but we've got to get it right. Mm-hmm. And we have to learn how to live together. how to be able to experience freedom of religion and belief, and experience being able to express that religion, that belief, whilst not discriminating and whilst not actually excluding other people in terms of them being able to express their beliefs and their religion. So these are things that we have to get right. We have to learn how to do it. School, of course, is really important because parents do want to bring up the children in their children in their faith. They do want to train children in the way that they feel is the most positive for their growth, their future. And so communities must have a fair amount of say, and that's why we have school governing bodies, and we do have parents in place on those school governing bodies who are working within the Constitution and the rules, and they have got to find solutions. And we believe that this ruling is something that actually helps us move forward in that direction, and in fact does not take away in the very important areas.
So, Ms. Dudley, what I can hear and what I can gather from our conversation is that you're not against the Organization for Religious Education and Democracy, OGOD. It says that it is not a school's task to instruct pupils on how to be religious. It is the choice of the parent and the pupil.
You know, in our constitutional democracy, people like OGOD have a right to challenge what they want to challenge. And we know that they want freedom from religion and not freedom of religion and belief. So this is what they're going to do. And going forward, I don't think anybody can let their defenses down, because there will be attacks and they will continue to try to make inroads there. But I think globally there's been a greater recognition of the need to be really alert in this area and protect freedom of religion. It's extremely important that we don't get the kind of extremism on any side that wants to take over and wants to dictate to people what they can believe, what they can't believe. People must be free to choose. And we believe that at this point in time, our judicial system is, in fact, reading the Constitution in a very rational way and applying it very rationally, and it's giving people, I think, greater confidence in terms of being able to find the solutions that they need to find. We must not in any way undermine freedom of religion, freedom for people to believe, freedom for people not to believe. And this we have to, in the working out, in the practical working out of this, and now in the practical working out in the public schools, we will find solutions. South Africans have proven themselves over and over again to be resourceful people and people who want a shared future. A shared future is important to us, and we will find solutions.
What do you say to those like Trade Union Solidarity, who says that the Constitution allows for public schools to identify with one religion and promote it, although they've lost the case?
Well, you know, this will be fought by some people, and again, those people, it's their right to fight that. And there will be schools who want to identify. There will be areas and communities that are you know, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Christian, there will be schools that actually would like to fully identify and brand themselves in that way. But the court ruling does not take away any of those schools' freedoms in terms of facilitating access to people expressing their religion, their belief. All it does is actually ensures that people are not going to be, the minorities are not going to be feeling excluded, and that there's not going to be any discrimination. And of course, that's been in the policy all the time. So nothing really has changed. This is there. It's just come into the public sphere. People are now thinking about it more. We're having to apply our minds more. So yes, there'll be people who want more of this, less of that, and everybody's going to tangle. But I think the balance that has been set in this particular judgment is actually useful, helpful, and I do think that many schools will be able to move forward in a far more confident way, and without shutting down, without being afraid of freedom of religion and belief, and without having to shut down people's expression of that religion and belief. at the same time with a greater consciousness that there are people who will choose not to believe or to believe something different, and those people must have access to the opportunities that they want. This is important. This is important in our country. We're a diverse people. I mean, even within the Christian faith, there's great diversity. So we have to learn how to work together so that we all have the future that we want.
Thank you so much for your time and joining us, Cheryllyn Dudley from the ACDP.
Thank you.
She's the ACDP party's spokesperson for education. That was Cheryllyn Dudley.